to the bride. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Immy and Sam.
I know that it's not usual for the bride to do the speech, but in classic Immy fashion, I'm cutting a word in edgeways. It won't be the final word, but I'm gonna say something. But I do in my trusty dress with pockets. Have my speech. So, the biggest thing, I'm gonna have to intermittently get it out. The biggest thing that I really want to say to all of you is just thank you. At risk of getting emotional, every single person in the room has loved or cared for Sam and or me over the years, and I think the most important thing that I wanted to say was that you have all sown seeds into our lives, none of which have gone unnoticed or are unimportant, and you are all so immensely special to us. And I know that Sam and I are just really grateful, and I know Sam would say the same thing, but just thank you for being here and giving up your time and being patient with me while I get out my phone. There are people who aren't here too in family, and I just want to mention my lovely cousin Laurel, who will be boogieing and having the most wonderful time here, and I just want to say that I love her very much, Laurel. And she is very much a part of this for me, and I just wanted to say her name. So, what is the next thing? We have been waiting for this day for quite a long time. Since I'm going to go from 25th of October 2022, which is where Sam sent me the following WhatsApp message. In the not too distant future, I'm going to put a ring on your, it's cute, it's not bad. I'm going to put a ring on your finger, and then we'll put another one on, and it will all be worth it. And he said that 24 days after we met, where we had already, and he was right. And what's the other thing? And that feels like so many years ago, like it's taken so long to get here, but it's also gone in the blink of an eye, just so quickly. And so I really just want to take this moment just to revel in and celebrate the wonderful Mr. Gemmell, not Andrew, Sam. I'm so sorry. So really, what can I say about Sam? In the same note, I use a lot of words, so like way down in this note, there was a sentence where I've written, I've always wondered who I would marry, and now there's this man. And then I go to describe him, and the picture that I described after 24 days is exactly the same as he is now. Sam, you are so immensely loving and kind. Sam is unfailingly patient. The other day, I'll be honest here, I rear-ended somebody, and I phoned Sam in absolute panic, like, I've rear-ended someone, and I'm thinking he's going to lose it. And he just went, okay, have you checked the damage? And I was like, yeah, the bumper's gone. And he was like, that's okay, just pull over. And if that were me, I would have screamed the roof off and been so stressed, but he was so patient and kind. He never makes me feel bad, he always makes me laugh. And I am just going to be completely honest, he has some flaws, which include, he doesn't shut things when he opens them, ever. Wiping a surface is, I don't know what that is, wiping the surface, he can't do that. He wipes about 30% of it and he leaves the remaining 70% super dirty. And I'm like half asleep when he taps me to discuss the angle of his wrist with his swing and what that's done to the loft of the ball. Yes, I'm half asleep when you tell me. But he in so many ways, I can't remember. He is all the things that I'm not. When I'm very scratchy, he's very gentle. When I am very anxious, he is always calm. And when I am, frankly, not trusting God and feeling very bad about something, he is always there reminding me that God is for me, God loves me, and God is with me. And that is the most important thing I could want out of anyone who I would spend my life with. And I know mine is super short, because let's be honest, the next two are the big ones that you want to hear. So this is really short, but I can't think of someone I would more happily give my life to make happy, to serve, to see succeed in every way. And I hope that in all that I can say or do, I would gladly give my life so that you are fulfilled and happy and close to God and living a life that you love. And I so adore you, and you are the most wonderful man, and I love you very much. So wet. And cheers my very handsome, very clever, very funny husband. To Sam. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Chuck Osborne, ladies and gentlemen.
What you don't know, guys, is there's a time budget for the speeches this evening, so I've got about 30 seconds. So, cheers, guys. Thanks very much. I've got a few thank yous to do first of all. If you were at the church, which I hope you were earlier, you would have seen the wonderful flowers that Katie did. Katie, take a bow. It's wonderful to have that sort of talent in the family. And also, we have a number of people who, unfortunately, from Vanessa's side of the family, couldn't be here today. So it's a list of names, but actually we want to acknowledge them because if they could have been here, they would have been here. And they are Ollie Lowe, who's Sam's cousin, Caroline and Jamie Heron, great aunt and uncle, Cyril Chick, who's Sam's grandfather, Brendy O'Reilly, who's Sam's cousin, Paul Chick, his uncle, and Sharon Chick, his aunt. And I don't think I missed anybody.
There's more, but
There's more.
they're in our hearts.
Yes. So, as with what Immy said with Laurel, who is certainly partying in some form of bridesmaids dress right now, our thoughts are with them. So, earlier on today, obviously, you have that bit as part of the bride where you're waiting and you wait, and then you look up and think, please don't rain, and you wait, and then you have that moment where your daughter, the bride, comes out. And for those of you men here who are younger, who haven't had it yet, it's a really, really strange thing, because when you're a parent, you don't just see the person in front of you. Like I met Joey on Stag Do, and so I look at Joey and what I see is Joey there. You actually see 20, 30, whatever number of years of that person. And when Immy walked out, she looked just the same as she did when she was 3, in lots of ways. And it brought back all sorts of different memories. And I am going to embarrass her a little bit by recalling a few. I feel this is redressing the sort of best man speech a little bit, in terms of just giving that view for you who didn't know Immy when she was much younger. But while there are some differences, of course, you will see the quintessentially Immy features of some of the things that I'm going to say. So you may have gone out earlier and seen Immy with 3 sheep, and thought, how bizarre, why on earth does someone love sheep that much?
They're the best.
Aside from the fact that they're the best. And this is the best sense I can make of it. Deborah, how many years have you been married now? Sorry, let me freak the spot. 18. Well, so Immy would have been about 4 or 5 then. But when you got married, at the hotel where the marriage took place, there were, in all the hotel rooms, there were these Jellycat toys on the floor. And I don't know if you know Jellycat toys, but there is a massive one that's a sheep, that you can lay out like a rug. And Immy fell in love with this toy. And so, being the dad I was really dense. I had plenty of time to think about it. And we were walking out to the car, and Immy had been really upset leaving the hotel room because she didn't want to leave the sheep. And I walked up to the hotel desk and said, "You know those sheep you have in the hotel rooms?" "Yes, sir." I said, "Do you sell those? Or where can I get one?" She said, "Oh, yes, we do sell them." So Immy was already in the car, really upset, and I walked to the car, and I had a sheep, and I gave it to her, and from that point, everything was sheep, from that point on. Even to the sense that when Claire and I went for a weekend away to Stratford-upon-Avon, we walked past a little backstreet shop, and we saw the same sort of toy, but a lamb in the window. And so there was Sheepy, and then there was Lammy, and after that there was also Cowie as well. And so that, I think, is where Immy's fascination with sheep started. As a young child, Immy was had some interesting habits. So you could not, as anyone in our family, you could not, I don't know, put your arm around your wife or hug someone, like your brother or whatever, without Immy going, "Cucumber cheek, cucumber cheek." And she somehow got in her mind this notion that if two people doing that, they were like slices of bread, and you needed a bit of a cucumber to go in the middle between them. And so Immy would sort of work away in between. And then when she was done with being in the middle, it would be cucumber out, cucumber out. And that is in my mind. That was the tune. That was the tune that there was for that. And one of the mistakes we made with Immy when she was very young was, as you do with a newborn baby, they're in the same room with you. We kept her in our room too long. We kept her in our room too long, because then when we changed the rooms around the house, did we ever have a single night where it wasn't that Immy came in at some point and then in the middle of the bed, to the extent that she was probably 2.5 by this stage. By the time we decided we were just too tired, we had to do something about it. And we put a stair gate on the door to her bedroom. "Why aren't you coming? I'm so lonely." "You don't love me, do you?" So as parents, you swap the not sleeping because you haven't got your bed to yourself to not sleeping because you're being guilt-tripped by a 2.5-year-old. So Sam, watch out for that one. But what I would say was, Flick definitely took one for the team, because Flick actually then was sharing the room with me. And so it was quite funny to watch, because Flick would be in her bed, Immy would come and get into bed with Flick, so Flick would get out of her bed, go into his bed, and about half an hour later he would get out of his bed, into her bed, all through the night. In the end, it all resolved itself. But it did take quite a while. I think it was about sort of 7 or 8 when we took the stair gate off. I may have exaggerated a little bit, but that's how it felt. That certainly is true. There are so many stories, but I will just tell one story that it may not amuse you, but it certainly amused me and Flick when we were in the car. We were in the car driving down to Benfleet to see Even Tony, I guess. And at that stage, we used to always have music on in the car, and it was sort of that early 2000s, so maybe 2004, and we quite liked playing things like Oasis and What's the Story, Morning Glory, and the song Wonderwall was on, and it was playing away, and we were singing some traffic lights, and it got to the line where the line is, "I don't believe anybody feels the way I do about you now," and the comic timing was just so good, because in the gap before the drums started, a little voice from the back goes, "In what context?" And I rolled about, and avoided the drums behind us because the lights had gone to green or whatever else. But yeah, that was just a very, 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 very strange little interlude, that was. But what we've always seen with Immy is actually, those stories are all ones from when she was very little, but actually there are stories like that from how Immy is all the way through her life, because actually Immy's view of the world is Immy's view of the world, and then the world shapes around Immy. And
That's Oxford
well,
for you.
Yes and no, Ims, because actually the world doesn't mind shaping around you quite a lot of the time. Yeah. Don't be honest. And actually, today, seeing you, and then coming to church, and the fact that all of us here could celebrate, when often in life there is so little opportunity to celebrate, and we could just see the joy on your faces, we could be part of that and take part of that. That's what I mean by you seeing the world and it then shapes around you. Because actually both of you move in straight lines. Most people in the world move from side to side, and they adapt or they change. But actually, you move in straight lines, and that's not a bad thing. And so what I really want to say, I think, this evening is how, very, very similar in many ways to some of the things that Andrew has said, how from the earliest point where you were with Sam, we could see how well you fitted together, and how absolutely together you are more than you are apart. And where for each of you individually, life is a roller coaster, and maybe sometimes it was too scary. Together it's still a roller coaster, but actually it's the two of you on a roller coaster together, and that makes it doable. And so we are so thrilled to be sharing today with you. I haven't actually said anything about Sam, and actually there are quite a few things I could say about Sam. Do not go skiing with Sam.
Hey,
Comment about going in straight lines is also true. Even on black runs. And I mean, I don't ski, but even I'm not daft enough to think when Sam says, "Oh yeah, I haven't skied very much. Oh, I'm going to do a black run." You sort of think, maybe not. And then there's bruises and whatever else.
And concussions, yeah.
And concussions, yes. But one of the things that was a big responsibility, I've obviously known Sam for a period of time, but then Sam spoke quiet to me and said, "Look, I want to propose to Immy in Italy," which was, I think, a really special thing for Clara and myself, that was where he wanted to propose to her. But could you carry the ring for me to Italy? That felt like a great responsibility in my hand luggage, So, yeah, straight lines. Sam even gave me the ring to get there. I did get there, which I'm relieved by. But Sam, when we look at you, what we see is very similar to what we see in Immy, which is wholeheartedness and openness, and the way you experience life is full of joy. And actually, that shouldn't just be the prerogative of the young. So what we want for you is that as you go through life, all of that is how life stays, and that is what you bring to all the people around you as you grow older, and then to your kids, and then to your grandkids, because like the vicar said this morning, and then Chris quite rightly corrected him in the prayers, it's not 50 years, it's 60 years or more. And that's what we would all wish for you. So, here's to you. This is your big day, but actually it's just the first day. And the most exciting bit is what's to come. So, for the final time. No?
Second from last.
No. Is this the final time to be a toast to the bride and groom?
You've been told. Bride and groom.
Thank you very much, John. At risk of myself getting further emotion, I bet I'm going to pass the mic over to Sam. the groom. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This is not scripted, so let me start the scripted bit now. Ladies and gentlemen, wow. What a day so far. What wonderful words we've just heard. What beautiful faces I'm looking at as I look around the room. All of you. Seriously. You all look great. And what a feeling I have right now to know that all of you made your way here to help Immy and I celebrate what is, I mean, well, I can only speak for me, but what is, for me at least, a very special day. For Immy too. Just need permission now, we're married. Okay, I firstly want to say a few thank yous because there have been some people here that have made some significant contributions to the day. So forgive me while I go into that a little bit in detail. Firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to the maids of honour. Flick. Thank you, Flick. And Becca. And the rest of the bridesmaids, Charlotte, Dana, Lizzie, Maddie and Savannah, for looking after Immy today, getting her here in one piece, and no doubt calming probably quite a lot of nerves. You guys are awesome. Moving on, I want to thank my best men, Chris and Joey, and the rest of my groomsmen, Alec, Ralph, Nick and Jake, for their achievement in bringing me home from the stag do in pretty much one piece, despite your best efforts to not. But as my father said, I also owe a huge debt of gratitude to a fine gentleman called Joe Short. Joe is one of the best photographers in the land, and we are so incredibly blessed that you wanted to come and shoot this for us, so thank you very, very much. It really means a lot. Another thanks goes to my dad, because not only have we got the best photographer in the land, but after growing up watching my dad building a career making the most beautiful wedding videos that could ever exist, I now finally get to say that he and his crew, Simon, Ben and Jack, where are you, Jack? Jack, Simon, good man, are making one for us. I'm honestly buzzing, it's amazing. My mum, Mama, you are totally lacquer. And there's a lot of South African people here that knows exactly what I mean, but she's awesome. Mum, you've never failed to be there for me. You've taught me so much, and you have played a vital role in shaping me into the man that I am today. And the thing that I'm most grateful for is how you have shown me the true meaning of a relationship with God. Thank you for all you've done for me, and I'll be eternally grateful that you're my mum. I can't stand here and thank everyone in this detail because I'd be going on for ages and we don't have that much time. But to just kind of list off a few people that I want to say a massive thank you to. Danelle and the worship band, perfect. Kerry Cannon and a beautiful daughter, amazing reading. Well done, Sarah. Josh and Desson for playing in the reception, stunning, amazing work, guys. Anne Granger, where are you, Anne? Not here? Oh my goodness. For the cake. We're going to be munching on it later, and I'm sure it's going to be delicious. Katie Jacks for the flowers that have brought that dazzle to the day. And the final thank you goes to Claire and Jonathan, my mother and father-in-law. It's felt like you're that for ages, to be honest with you, but now I can officially say it. I'm honoured. The gift you've given in the form of this wedding is something that Immy and I will never ever be able to repay you for. It's something that you've done without hesitation or any inclination that it's a burden of any sort. It's an unbelievable gift, and I think everyone here would agree that we'll remember today as not only special, but also freaking awesome. Yeah. It's not just a wedding, it's an amazing wedding. I haven't even scripted this next bit, but I wanted to speak from my heart a little bit, guys. Over the last 2.5 years, I've become what I feel is part of your family. But from day one, you made me feel like I was a son. And I don't say that lightly. From Claire walking in, probably 6 weeks in, and going, "You're welcome to come on our ski trip with us in February." And I'm like, "Claire, it's November."
Was as a member of staff though?
I'll invoice you. Honestly, I couldn't have hoped for a better pair of in-laws. It is. And to be honest, and Nick, and Flick, and Mike, and their kids, guys, I'm joining the second best family in the world. And I'm so, so grateful for that. Now on to the emotional bit. Imogen, Rebecca, get on. My wife. My dad talked about this, but I'm going to say it in my own speech, because we didn't communicate on what was in our speeches. I've been asked several times in my life, whether in a job interview or just in conversation, what's your greatest achievement? I've never really known what to say to that. Maybe, managing to pick up a hole-in-one on the golf course, maybe scoring 100 runs in a cricket match as a teenager. I might have said reaching 1 million streams on a song I released on Spotify, or playing at the Isle of Wight Festival. But none of those really truly felt like a satisfying answer. But Immy, on this day, I can now say that I will have a lifelong answer to that question. Because being able to call you my wife and say that I am your husband will forever be my greatest achievement. You are undoubtedly the most beautiful, caring, dorky, obviously delusional, kind, self-sacrificing person I know. And I honestly do not know what I would do without you now that you're so deeply ingrained in my life. I want to tell you a story. Immy's sighing already because she knows I ramble. But it's a story. She said. It's a story about the very first time Immy and I met in person, and how, I kid you not, hurts to say, I was an hour and 15 minutes late to our very first date. I know you're thinking, what? How has he managed to end up as our husband? I don't really know, but I'm definitely not complaining. But hopefully by the end of this short story, short-ish, you will understand just a little bit of Immy's true character if you don't have the privilege of doing so already. Immy and I decided to meet up pretty quickly after we started talking, via what was honestly the worst dating app known to man. Christian Connection. Thank you to Maddie, by the way. Because it was down to Maddie and Pims that Immy joined this dating app. So, here, cheers to Maddie and Pims. So, right. We've been talking for probably 2 or 3 days, and one morning, we both realised that neither of us had plans for the afternoon or evening. We decided we would meet at a somewhat halfway point, and somewhat is very emphasised, which we decided was Clapham Junction, the name of our table, by the way. We decided on a time to meet and looked at train times. My local station and the only line to London within 20 minutes was completely closed for the day. Alright, no problem. I'll drive to another station on a different line. I drove to the station, arriving 5 or so minutes before my train was due to depart, which is completely normal for me, and it's not really ever been a problem, so I didn't expect it to be a problem today. I arrived, and lo and behold, the car park was being gated shut. I said to the guys locking up the gate, I said, can I not park here? Nah, mate. I said, okay, where's the nearest place to park? About a 10-minute walk. They said, following up with, what train are you trying to get? I said, London Victoria. They said, no chance. Right. You might be thinking, well, you know, hopefully it's a busy line and I can catch one in a few minutes, as it was only about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was seemingly, however, carnage on the trains that day. So this train was the last train that was going into London. I was going to have to drive. Now the drive itself was probably just over an hour, and the train would have been maybe 40 minutes, so not too bad, not too bad. But I rang Immy and explained. She was very forgiving, but that was the first surprise. It wasn't looking too bad, and I thought I might still be in for a shout. Except for the minor detail of my petrol tank having 3 miles left in it, and me about to basically bear the M25 for an hour. So, petrol station it was. I had to drive in the opposite direction to get to one. But alas, all the pumps were out of action. So I drove to the next one, further on in the opposite direction. Same story. This is not looking good. Third time lucky, the third petrol station did have petrol, and I filled up and I managed to start on my way. However, this time I was going to be a bit later, probably about 45 minutes or more. The M25 was doing its thing as well. Traffic and more traffic. My ETA was getting later. My hopes were decreasing. By the time I passed the traffic, it was looking like I was going to arrive at least an hour and 15 minutes late to our very first date. I thought it was going to be 100% a dud, and it would have all been my fault. Before I started the drive, however, she said something to me via text message that surprised me to my core. I had explained all of this and had expected a girl on the other end of the phone to either brush off the date to another day or to just cancel entirely. What Immy had said explained her character to me before I even met her in person. She had said something along the lines of, "We can do tomorrow if it's too tricky, but if you brave it today, I'll buy you a drink for your efforts." The girl I was going to be an hour and 15 minutes late to see, to the very first date, was offering to buy me a drink for braving the long journey. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. This time it did. I immediately sent a screenshot to my best man Chris, one of my best men Chris, explaining that I'd found a golden girl. He agreed profusely, and I think it's safe to say that I've never been more right about something in my entire life. Immy, I knew I was going to marry you about a week into knowing you.
3 days for that.
Yeah. I knew I was going to marry you about 3 days into knowing you. And I'm so incredibly glad, with all the sincerity that I can muster, that I was right. I'm so excited to tell the world that you are my wife, and that I am your husband. I cannot wait for the first time that I introduce you as my wife in public, because I know that it will still feel as special when we are old and grey and I'm doing the same thing. I'm so excited to look at your driving license and see Imogen Rebecca Gemmell printed next to a questionable mugshot. I cannot wait to wake up next to you, all puffy-eyed and groggy, and treating any morning irritability with a fresh latte, made with love. I cannot wait to take out the bins just because they're too smelly, every time. I cannot wait to put toothpaste on your toothbrush for you when I beat you to the bathroom in the evenings. I cannot wait to have you whack me because I've slept through my 12 alarms at 5, 5:05, 5:10 and the rest. Good luck. I promise that whilst I cannot be the perfect husband, I promise that I will always be your husband and put you before me at every opportunity I manage. I don't deserve you, but I've won the privilege of calling you my wife. Somehow. I don't know what most people in here believe in, if anything at all. I think it's pretty clear. I believe in God. And I know He must seriously love me, more than anything I will ever understand, to give me this gift of sharing a life of ups and downs with you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if I can ask you to stand. A toast to my wife, Imogen Gemmell, the woman I wish I knew from my first day on this earth. To Immy. Thank you everyone for listening.
I did say to Joey while he was emceeing so well that there was something about the audio guest book that we kind of not mentioned. We had a rotary telephone that we could basically, you guys could pick up and leave us a message, and your face would be recorded as well on video. And we thought that was going to be amazing. We had some technical issues, so it may well be a rotary telephone that you can leave a message on. It may